I was very irresponsible with my bankroll.
Did you ever sell like any pieces or whatever to kind of dilute it?
I didn't, only because nobody would buy my action.
Don't get me wrong, I tried.
Thank you for doing this with us, man. That's pretty fucking cool.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I know we've been in contact for a couple of years now and been trying to get out here. And yeah, I come out here every summer, and so it's perfect timing that I just busted out last night. And
What event were you in?
the mini main.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And we are going to get into tournaments. I hear you're getting back into those streets. We normally kind of take the viewership back till you were not Andy Sachs. You were a little Pile.
Single chip.
I was working on Pile all morning. But like, just we'll get into the poker stuff initially. But I did read that you were from Taiwan.
Yeah.
Yes. You grew up there, or did you actually just born there and come over to the States?
No, I came when I came to the U.S. when I was 2. I've been in the U.S. pretty much most of my life, and then that's how I discovered poker, was because I was in the U.S. at the right time, and that was the moneymaker boom. And I think it was kind of like a perfect situation where I met a buddy of mine and out here in L.A., and he was the one that introduced me to poker. And like I remember like watching on his big clunky CRT TV, like the moneymaker stuff. And I was like, he and his buddy were watching that when that was on, and I was like, I had no idea what they were watching. I was like, what are you guys watching? And then that's when he taught me how to play, and then we started doing like small home games, $5 buy-ins, and I would play with his buddies, and I had a good sense of people. I always felt like in live poker, like I do much better in live poker than online, because I did actually play online for a while too. And like when I first started, like on Party Poker, that was the one back in the day, and then Poker Stars and Full Tilt, and I had never had any successful momentum on there, And I realized that once I started playing more live, like, I did much better, and so I just stuck to live after that.
Yeah, I do think it's kind of apples and oranges. They're both fruits or whatever, but I do think live poker is a different animal altogether, compared to online.
Did you dive into like books and stuff to learn, or did you just like go headlong experience only?
In the beginning, it was just experience, and then once I lost enough money, I was like, okay,
experience is not working.
Yeah, I know. I did. I remember going to like Barnes and Nobles and like just buying like every book that I could find. And I had this huge stack of like, it was like all the old school ones, like the Phil Hellmuth book, like the Little Green Book,
Bill Gordon.
Bill Gordon.
Mammoth is probably on there. Sklansky maybe.
Yes. The Limit Hold'em ones.
Yep.
I had all those. Yeah. The old Brunson one, obviously.
Oh, yeah, the Super System, yeah. I remember reading that first time, and I didn't know what any of the other games was outside of Hold'em. So
just skip to that section.
I read this whole book. Well, actually, this little part. I did eventually go back and read them, but I still didn't really know much of what they were talking about.
I still pick up a Poker for Dummies or Texas Hold'em for Dummies every time I go to like Goodwill or something, because there's always one. I always grab one just in case like I put a bad beat on someone at the table, and I can just give it to them. You want it signed, or will you sign this for me?
So what kind of stakes were you playing initially as you were using your experience to lose money?
I started off playing 1-2 limit at the bike.
Nice.
That was the first game I played, and I quickly, once I discovered no limit, there's like $100 buy-in, and I quickly I never went back to limit. When I realized you could bet more, you can bet all of it,
I'm tired of people always calling the rivers.
Yeah, and what's funny is like when I jumped from 1-2 to like higher stakes, I basically skipped 5-5. I just went to 5-10, and I was one of I was so irresponsible with my bankroll. Like I didn't care, because I didn't really expect to win. I'd like the rush of it. And so I just kind of went, like when they called like the $500 game, and I heard them calling the name. I went over and I looked, and I was like, oh, what's the buy-in? I literally, all I had was like $500, and I just bought in for it. It was hard to go back to play like smaller. I mean, I had to eventually when I lost, but I remember that rush of just jumping, from like for $1, $2, just playing like 5-10 no limit,
Yeah. Were you? Did you have a job or anything, or were you?
I was still doing like part-time jobs at the time, but. Honestly, there was a period of time where I would every night after I got off work, I would just go straight to the casino, and I would play till like midnight or even later, And I remember just being like so tired the next day and just going to work, and that was like for a few years where I did that. It was just a routine, that I did.
Yep. Yeah. No, I've told this story a handful of times or whatever, but when I was an engineer, like my daily schedule would literally be, I think I had to be at work by like 6:30 or something like that. I would set my alarm for like 3:34.
Yeah.
I would play online poker until I absolutely had to leave. On party poker, I went from playing 25 cent, 50 cent, 50 cent dollar, whatever it was, and then they just started like expanding like what the top limit was, 2.5, 5.10. Then all of a sudden 25.50 came around, and like I was like, man, I was really good at 50 cent dollar like 2 weeks ago. Let's take a shot at 25.50, and I just kept on winning. I was like, this is crazy, because like if I would have just gone on a downswing, I'm like, poker's stupid. I guess I'll be an engineer and have 2 babies and live in North Carolina for the rest of my life. But
the moral of the story is you're in good company, fellow degens.
Yeah, exactly right.
That want to put our bankroll at risk all the time.
Yeah, it was literally like with the buy-in of 5,000. I have 5,800. This seems like a very smart idea.
So how long did it take you to like, I guess, break out and like start having success? Because you said you started playing the 510, $500 game, and then you had to move down. So like somewhere in there, obviously it clicked for you.
Yeah, I think like back to your story too, like. It's funny that you had that similar story, because it's like I feel like everybody that's still around today had success early on, like all of us kind of had to have that in the beginning in order to keep staying and keep playing, because like I definitely in the beginning had like experienced that, where I ran good in the beginning and then had like a bankroll, and I couldn't believe the rate that I was winning at.
Right.
But then obviously very quickly realized like, okay, this is not going to keep going up. This is not, And so, but I also think that it takes a very specific type of personality that for us to push through that, in the beginning, is like just to have that stubbornness to be like, okay, I lost, but I know I can keep winning. And so, what does it take? And just keep pushing through it. And that's kind of like just in the beginning, that's what it was just constantly just going bust, and then just, going back to work in the office job and just getting paid, and then literally just after work every day, just going back and doing that over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think poker is a lot like day trading in that way, because like if you've ever read like Market Wizards or any of those books, a lot of them are like everybody builds up a bankroll at first.
Yeah,
they're like, whoa, that was awesome, and then they all lose it all. Like 99% of people,
Yeah,
and in poker too, I think.
What was your day schedule like? Was it literally just wake up, go to the commerce, and play 10-20 until like the lights turned off?
It was literally, that's what it was. You named it. Like it was just, I remember, man, it got to the point where I basically just, that was my entire life for like the next 10 to 15 years. I literally just played every game that I could in LA, nonstop, both the casino games and the private games. Like first I started in the casino games for the longest time, and then I transitioned to private games, but I had this spreadsheet of every private game and every stakes and every like what days and everything just mapped out. And every day what I would do when I woke up was just look on the day, what day of the week is it, what games are available, and I would just just hit them up every single one. Like if I would go to Commerce, okay, if their 10-20 sucked, I would go Hollywood Park, and Hollywood Park, I would just literally just drive to every single game, and I just did that every single day.
Did you ever come to Vegas during that stretch?
I did. During the World Series, basically every year I would come out here and play cash games for the whole summer. And
there's a funny story about that. Not to interrupt you, but like we had Matt Berkey on the podcast, and he said he used to play with you, and then years later, like you interacted again, and this was at a time when in Vegas cash played, on the table, and then you just counted some bills or something, and he was like, "You're a fast counter guy." He said nobody can count bills as fast as Andy Stacks. I wish I brought like 10,000 for you to count. Got any money in your pocket?
How would 1,500 do? That's about all I got.
That is so funny. I remember that that time that he's talking about, and I remember seeing him as well. And he had the same thing. He had the whole backwards cap thing, and we were playing 10. It was either 10-20 or I forgot what it was, but it was the bigger game at the Venetian.
Yeah.
And this is at the Venetian before when they had the divider, and it was like the bigger games on the other side, inside. And he came in, and I saw Matt, and I was just like, who's this cocky like white boy, And because he had the same swag, And I remember there's this one hand where I played with him where he just check called me down 3 streets with ace high, and like people weren't doing that back then,
Yeah.
Fascinating time back then.
So how'd you get so good at counting money?
Yeah, back then cash played at like there was a similar game at Hollywood Park that ran for a really long time in LA that I played, and same thing, like cash played, and just got so accustomed just counting out stacks of money, and throwing it in there.
Oh, that was a sexy time of poker. I'm not gonna lie. Like we reminisce all the time. Like we were back in the day with the Bellagio and when the 1020 and the cash play. Yeah. Man, it was just so much fun. It was such a waste of time, but man, it was sexy. Like someone count at 2,800, and you could actually look someone in the eye as you're counting, and and you stop, and you're like, no, we need more, we need more, we need more, and then like they get to like whatever number, and they would just throw it all, and it would just slide across the board, and the dealer would have to scoop it up and count it very slowly
with the deck in the one hand. And sometimes cap the deck so that they can count all the bills.
It would always take like an extra like 4 minutes more than it should, but man, it was fucking sexy.
There was this. I was playing at Commerce, and this was when Cash played at Commerce too. And there was this old man that I will never forget too. Players would ask him like, "How much is he playing?" And he would take his stack out, and he would lick his
one.
He'd lick his fingers and like start counting. It was the funniest thing.
2. Probably deters people from trying to bluff him. If they're going to do that, it's like, man, it's going to take forever. What kind of private games were you like playing then? You mentioned.
Oh man,
like were they in casino private games or
no?
Home games?
Back then that wasn't a thing yet. In that era, it was all around spots in LA, like. Mostly on the west side and San Fernando Valley and like nice houses and stuff like that. And this was before like the big scandals with like the.
So these games were on the up and up.
And you always got paid? Yeah. Crazy.
You certainly weren't cheated. Sorry.
No, but it was in an era where like you didn't have to worry about as much like the cheating stuff. Like the shuffler. Like it was the different time where like it was more just like party scene. And back then like I was playing in like some wild ones where it was just like a lot of them were like all Israeli games or all Armenian games because there's a big Israeli and Armenian population in LA, as people know. And it was like, it was just a wild time because just being like the only Asian person and like
you're an honorary Armenian for the night. They let you in.
But everybody knows like they're like the most action, most action players. And so I was very fortunate at the time to be able to play in a lot of those games. And
how'd you get invited? You were just enough action in the normal Commerce or Hollywood Park game that they were like, you'd be good in our game as well, or you kind of snuck your way in?
Because of my more reckless style back in the day, I think that did help me get invites, is because like I would lose a lot back in those games, That's really the key is right
big
there.
Swings.
Just dump a lot of money in those games.
Did you have any bad experiences? And like, I'm not trying to call it the Israelis or the Armenians, but like, did you like between like getting cheated or I know that was less prevalent back then, but like not getting paid or like some fights breaking out because they could be hot tempered as well.
Man, bad experiences. There's one time where I was at a game and they got raided, and like it was pretty surreal because it was like what you would imagine, like the cops like literally just busted in and were yelling, and like everybody hands up, and I was like, fuck, like didn't ever expect it, and what ended up happening was because there was they rented a place in a residential neighborhood, and there was like neighbors that lived there for like a long time, and they're like older elderly people, and they were seeing like girls like walking in and out, like, and they were like calling them like, hey, I think there's like something going on next door, and so that's what got them caught. And
so it wasn't even for the gambling; they just thought it was like a big prostitution
they thought
ring.
Drugs and prostitution, what they were looking for,
Did they just take all the money in that spot? Or?
I think they have to. Yeah.
Luckily, it's really the guys that ran the game, that got in trouble. Everybody else just got a fine, And it was just like a $500 fine or something. But I don't know how much they seized or the game runners, how much they had to.
Did you get your money back, or was it like kind of like credit based?
I was up in the game. Okay. I was up like 10K or something. It was gone. Yeah, I didn't.
You didn't even try to get it back?
No.
Oh, Jesus.
No. I was just I'm just lucky to get out of that.
Did you have to spend like the night in jail or anything? Or
no.
Okay.
No, none of the players had to. They all let us go.
Okay.
And sure. did that turn you off to playing home games, or
not really?
Were you just like,
yeah, not really.
The juice was worth the squeeze.
Worth the squeeze for sure. Yeah, those games were wild. Like, especially like, man, I would drive out to like Canoga Park, which is like really far, like from where I was living in LA, like an hour and a half, and playing these games. It's just because it was so worth it, like it was such a big contrast to the games I was playing during the World Series, like I would play in some of these like the worst games during the series, like at the Bellagio,
Oh yeah.
And I did that for so many years that once I started playing these home games in LA, I never went back to playing those games during the World Series. But I will say that during the World Series, when I played those those reg infested games, with all those Euro pros. It was the toughest games I ever played during that period, but it was also the time where I lost the most and I learned the most. Like I feel like I improved. Like it was the most aggressive games. Like back in the day, it was crazy. Like I would be the only American at the table. It would be like all Europeans from different, like Spain, like Germany. But I just didn't care. I was just so competitive that I just wanted to beat them. But they were clearly like superior and they were better, and they were just I wouldn't not be able to beat them for sure. I was losing my bankroll to those guys, but I was so stubborn that I would just show up every single day. I would never play tournaments during the World Series, and I just headed to Bellagio every single day. I just signed up.
I'm sure I was there losing money too. I was never big on like studying like GTO or now or like even back in the day from the books, but like what I would do is like I would kind of pick out who I thought the best player at the table was. And like every time they would do something that was so fucking annoying, I would be like, why is that annoying to me? It's like, oh, it's because he's putting me in a tough spot, blah blah blah. And I'm like, how do I counter? Like, and I just spent all that time like after I quit, I'm like, okay, if this is annoying to you, then how do I counteract it? How do I make it annoying for him?
And you always, maybe it's not always the best player at the table, but you always know who's the best player against you,
right?
Because they always do the thing that you don't want them to do.
That's right.
Like it's like
That's right.
It's like there's a turn card. I don't love that card, but as long as he doesn't bet more than the pot, I'm gonna call. And then it's like 2x pot. You're like fuck.
Can he hear my thoughts? Was that out loud?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah.
So I did see that you did play a handful of tournaments early-ish, Sean, like 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
So how did that even get on the radar for you if you're such a cash game guy? Because like, I don't know, I go back and forth about hating and loving tournaments. But what was the reasoning for actually hopping into a couple of them early on?
I was always curious about tournaments. Like I remember in the beginning when I first started playing poker, like after my friend introduced me to it, right? Because we played $5 like format tournaments, right? Like with friends, So I actually started playing that kind. But I remember like when I started going to the casino after that by myself, I clearly remember deciding like, oh, should I play tournaments? Because they had small dailies, right? Tournaments. Or should I play these cash games? And I would never win in those small daily tournaments, and so it turned me off. And so I just kept playing cash games where it was consistent, and I won. But I would always just take random shots in those tournaments too. They had like a 30K guarantees back then, and I would still play them here and there, but I would never have any success over the years. And so that's why I mostly just stuck to cash.
Okay.
But yeah, like over the years, when they had like the LAPC and like the Legends of Poker back when it was big at the bike, I would always like
August,
fire those,
Yeah.
just randomly, but never like consistently.
Those are good tournaments. All right, and we'll get into your new love affair with tournament poker in a bit. But let's talk about the transition into when Live at the Bike and Hustler started coming around, like the live stream poker era. Which is, I don't know, like
2015.
Yeah, that's about right. Like I know in Vegas, like the high stakes poker was a thing before that, but like it didn't really become more accessible to our level of player until about 2015. So yeah, how did you get into that? The streams come along and you got interested, or they kind of got you in as one of the staples right away?
So the bike had a really good 5, 10, 20 no cap at that time, and it was running consistently, so I was there all the time playing that. And then I remember before Feldman started at Live the Bike, it was like ran by these two other owners that they just had small stakes on Live the Bike stream, and nobody really watched it. I mean, they had their fan base, but like it wasn't what Feldman made it into. And I remember like once Feldman was involved, he started making those games a little bit bigger, and that's what drew me to them. Were like the games were amazing on there,
Yeah.
And so once I started playing on Live at the Bike, I mainly played just because the games were great. I didn't really want to play on stream, and I was paranoid about people seeing my cards back then. But the games were too good to turn down, and so once I started playing on there, I never turned back because they were way better than the games on the floor. Yeah, it was a very special time for sure. So
did you enjoy being on streams? Like eventually, I know you said you didn't really want to show your whole cards.
It was fun, I think the novelty of being able to go back and see what everybody had was what really made it interesting to me, was because like what we were talking about earlier about wanting to counter someone's strategy. That was what became interesting to me, was like playing with those core guys every week, even though they were great players. But it was like watching how they played every hand in that session. Going back, I remember doing that and just trying to figure out a counter strategy the next week, because we would play every week, right, weekly. And that part was what was the most fun part for me playing on stream, was doing that,
So you did a lot of homework.
Did a lot of homework with those guys. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about kind of the escalation of the stream game, because like to your point, like there was the 5, 10, 20 game that was deep stacked, and then the 25 Philman came along and started getting in some bigger games. So it was still like 25, 50, every once in a while 50, 100.
Yeah.
And then it just all of a sudden just ramped up, and it went from like that to like 1, 2, 2, 4 to just nosebleeds. Yeah. Was there a point where you're like, that's too big, I don't think I can do this? Like,
oh, absolutely. I just felt like I was young enough that if this doesn't work out, I can start over. And I became immune to losing, basically. It was just like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like it terrified me, but at the same time, like it wasn't something that stopped me from playing those stakes, because I did believe in myself, and I wanted to just challenge myself, you know, but it was just too much ego, you know. I was very irresponsible with my bankroll.
Did you ever sell like any pieces or whatever to kind of dilute it?
I didn't, only because nobody would buy my action.
Don't get me wrong, I tried.
Yeah, no. I believe it or not, like, yeah, I didn't. Throughout my career, I've never sold or bought. I don't really want to have that affect my play. You know what I mean? Or nor do I want to have somebody responsible for my bad decisions. You know, I just want to be able to purely play on my terms on the table, both. It doesn't matter in tournaments or cash. I believe in just playing on my own dime. So
that's pretty cool.
Respect. Yeah.
Yeah, mad respect for that.
Did it ever happen where you got completely felted in those spots and you had like enough you had to grind like 2040 or 2550 again to like rebuild? And
before the streams coming up, there was 3 times that I went completely busto and I had to go back down on stakes. I was lucky enough once I started playing on streams that never happened, but there was a couple times where I was definitely like, I lost like half of what I had, and I had to grind. I was grinding like the Commerce Public games, and like was lucky that I like had that padding to run it back up a little bit again. You know, like there was some sick public games at Commerce that were like starting to become semi-private at the time.
Yeah,
or built around like a couple of guys. You know, that those games were run pretty consistently, and that was off stream that I was able to recover some big losses. Otherwise, I'd be in bad shape, you know. Continue forward.
Yeah.
All right. That kind of takes us up kind of close to like where COVID is.
Yeah.
It's always a big inflection point for like most of our guests that we have on, especially as I think we have 3 live grinders here. Essentially, like what the fuck did you do? I mean, it's got to have been a punch to the stomach.
I ran really good right in a casino private game in the Gardens, actually, right before COVID hit. We brought that game to basically the online on the apps during COVID. And again, just ran really, really hot on there during COVID. And it was just, honestly, it was just such lucky timing, you know? And I just think it's crazy looking back at that. And you guys know this for sure. Like, so much of poker and where we are today is just timing, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just even like you just think back like, oh, if that one situation, this didn't happen, and meet that one guy, I wasn't in this one spot at that right time, things would be completely different.
Yeah, I mean, it's 100% right. True for us. Like when we started the game at the Aria, pre-COVID, it was like literally 2 weeks before COVID, I think, is when we had our first game.
That's right.
And we just happened to meet a couple people that were in the game, and then they became staples in the game. Like we didn't do an app or anything, but like,
yeah,
once stuff started opening up and there was plexiglass, it's like, oh, we don't even have to have that many people because you can only play 6-handed anyway right now. So like it was easier to build kind of a game like that, and then it grew into like a monster over at the Bellagio now. But
yeah.
And then here we are now.
That's right. So let's talk about more current Andy stacks right now. You said you are getting back in the tournament streets. Like, talk to me about A, why, and B, kind of the process of what's going on with you.
Yeah, this is a interesting pivot right now for me. Definitely probably the biggest pivot I've made in poker for the last 20 years, something years playing poker, is completely diving into tournaments. Like I'm like basically like high stakes cash turned low stakes tournament fish now. You know what I mean? Like it's the weirdest pivot that you could make as a cash game player. That was basically gambling for, huge sums of money every week, and now playing, 1K tournaments.
Yeah.
At the
You're losing one big blind on one tournament. Like,
yeah, most of the people were just like, "Why would you do that?" Because I can, and because
good fucking answer. You're goddamn right.
I just think that like I've always been like wanting to do stuff that I would just never think about doing. Even like during COVID when I started the YouTube channel. I'm an introvert. I would never imagine doing content, putting myself out there. you know, but I did it, and it was very rewarding, you know, just like knowing that I could push myself to do that. And with tournaments, it's like when I was knee deep into like those high stakes cash games, the last thing I would ever do is buy in for like a 1K tournament and like play for 3 days and just cash for nothing, right? But like at the same time, there's just something about that just drew me to it. Like, this is a challenge that I want to try, you know, I want to take on. And I think being in cash for so long, I think that it's worth it for me to at least give it a shot. And so it's like, not that I'm never going to play cash again. You know, the reality is that I can actually go back anytime. Like, I could probably go back on stream tomorrow, right? Like, but I'm choosing to not and just focus on playing as many tournaments as I can and just basically try to learn how to play.
Feels good to be a beginner again sometimes.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's like playing like being like a 1-2 no limit player again, you know? Like, brings it back to when I first started playing no limit hold'em. That's what it feels like for me right now, you know? And I believe in paying your dues, you know, just like I paid my dues in cash games. Like, I gotta like pay my dues. I gotta pay my tuition in these tournaments, you know? And that's kind of what I feel like what it is right now. And
no, I agree. And like, I feel like I can't remember which guests have mentioned it, but like kind of mentioning like with the high roller scene being way more prevalent in the last 5 years, there's just been a lot of people that have skipped all of that. And like, they haven't put in their dues. They haven't earned their spot, and they just sell enough to make it feel like whatever a 2K tournament for them, even though they're playing for $25,000.
Yeah.
And like, because they haven't had to earn their way up there, like it's the appreciation, maybe it's not there. I don't know. I think it was Seth Davies or whatever mentioned something like that. But
you have to go up the ladder if you want to, you know, be the best or whatever. This is kind of what he was getting to. A lot of people jump into the highest stakes just because they like are super studied and like they can prove that they're studied, but they don't actually have the on-felt experience from the low stakes that. And 1K is not low stakes, by the way.
Sure.
But
no, I agree.
Yeah. Like but 1K WSOP tournaments and stuff.
I think it's highly important. Yeah, like even if you can like prove on paper that you're a really good poker player and you get the backing to get put in there, or you happen to have the money or whatever. I don't think that's the same thing of like cutting your teeth and like spending 15 years going from $300 tournaments and finally getting to play a 25K or something like that. I think that's a little bit more earned and special.
Yeah, like what you guys are talking about with like, you know, getting backing and just like playing those bigger ones, and I don't fully understand that world yet, you know, and I can understand what you guys are saying. At the same time, I also think like I agree with you like that. There's something like pure about just grinding the smaller ones and just doing it on your own and just not going that route. Yep. I know that's an option, right? But at the same time, because the way I came up in cash was always just on my own, like I want to do the same in tournaments, and this is the reason why I'm doing this, making the switch over, is to start from the beginning again.
Nice.
You know, and so that's kind of reignited my interest in poker again, is feeling like I don't know anything and starting from the beginning and learning it all over.
Tournament evolution is wild.
Yeah,
like I remember
yeah.
playing cash like just online back in the days, and like if somebody had like a 20 big blind stack, people would just go all in against them just to either double them up or you know, so they can actually play against them or get them out of there. But
like, rate them in the chat first, like buy in for the real amount.
But now seeing how people like maneuver off of like 11 blinds and like playing a pot, I'm like, that is impossible.
It's a whole nother skill set that us cash game players have. Just like we can't wrap our head around until we're actually in that situation again and again and again, and you realize, oh, like there's a spot here I can do this, right? And cash is just like, you never think about that. Yeah. You're always just thinking like implied odds, reloading, you know, like covering, and you know, like
a 2 big blind open actually deserves my respect.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I fired like 6 bullets in like the mystery bounty one, and I cashed on the last bullet, and then I made it to day 2, and I immediately busted the very first hand I got into on day 2. Like it's funny, like I woke up, I felt pumped, right? I was like, I'm in the money. I have a chance to pull bounties now. I went to the gym, like I had a good breakfast. I was feeling good, right? Show up, very first hand, kings, get it in, bust, you know? And
Poker Universe is like, no, he's too happy.
Yeah, that right there, what I described, it's like, I never experienced that in cash, right? Like cash is like, you're going to play for 8 hours and you're going to grind out. If you get stuck in the beginning, you reload and then you just like grind it out. But it's like going to a tournament and knowing that you can bust in any hand at any second and you're going to go home is something that I'm like learning to accept and deal with.
It's fucking tough, man.
It's crazy.
I was playing the 5K 6 max yesterday.
Yeah.
And I had a decent stack, and like we were like 20 minutes from dinner break. And
Yeah.
I was like, what am I going to do dinner break? Okay, I'm going to go to that bar and have a beer, and I'm just going to like have snacks out of my bag. It's fine. I get queens and I get it all in for like a 75 big blind pot, and like he has 9s and he binks to 9. I'm just like, fuck. I was looking forward to a beer and carrots, and now what am I going to do? Like now I have to go home. I don't want to go home.
No matter how you go out, it stings.
You know what's crazy? I was thinking about this the other day, like putting the volume in the tournaments, right? It's like the way I started feeling when I play these tournaments, like, you know that heartbreak when you feel right when you bust, right? Like that second you're out. Doesn't matter what tournament, either the main or like just whatever, right? A small one. It feels like kind of like you get your heart broken by a girl, you know? Like you feel the heartbreak, but then like the next day, you know, you wake up, you buy in again, and then the dealer pushes like the new stack of chips, like your heart just heals a little bit, you know, like things are gonna be okay. You know, I think I can handle this. Your heart opens up a little bit again. You know?
Yeah. As soon as you have hope, they slap you back down.
Yeah. That's right. It's the hope thing. That's it. Yeah.
I used to have a rule for myself when I used to play like a lot of tournaments, like online and live. Is like I didn't let myself look at like the top payouts. I just played, because then I would start thinking, you know, what if I get this, you know? And if you're gonna think that, you're gonna have heartbreak every time. When like 95% of the time you're gonna go out in a disappointing situation.
The best way to get over those heartbreaks of busting is literally just register next tournament.
That's right.
It's crazy. You don't even remember. They're like, how did I bust? You know, what was her name?
I didn't even like her. I didn't want to win that tournament anyway.
Well, cool, man. So is there anything else that like GG has coming up that you know you're supposed to promote?
You want to promote?
Oh, not really. Just appreciate you guys having me on here, and
that was great, man.
One thing I want to say, you know, is like back to doing this tournament thing. You know, I just want to encourage everybody to like try more things that you think you would never want to do. You know, I think like, because as we get older, you realize like your time is really limited. You realize like, hey, like I don't really have that many good years left, or my peak years where I'm in good health and I can do things that I want to try. You know, like you don't want to wake up one day and realize like have any regret. And so that kind of goes into my decision in stepping away from those games, is because tournament poker is something that like I'm so new at, and I would love to see if I could excel there. And so I think it's worth for everybody to, it doesn't matter what career you're in, you know, it doesn't even have to be poker. I just think like hearing stories about guys that have done complete, you know, 180s on whatever they're doing and taking on a certain challenge, I think is really worth it, you know. And I think as poker players, as risk takers that we all are, you know, even if you think you suck at it, I think like just putting yourself out there and doing it and just trying it and going through it, even if you fail, you know, that's like what makes life interesting and meaningful, is having these stories and these failures, right? And so, yeah, I just think...
Fuck yeah, well said. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Reach.
Yeah, no, seriously, man, that's exactly right.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.